Hey Pally, it's Isabel Harding. Today is Friday, January 26th, and InFocus starts right now. Game of Thrones is coming up. Here's what to expect. Pally's dance team has an exciting competition this weekend. NYAF Club is hosting a speaker today at lunch. All that and more is coming up on today's show. Welcome to InFocus. I'm Isabel Harding. Let's get started with our daily pick. We finally have one. We'd like to thank Dante for sending today's daily pick our way. And remember, anyone can send in a daily pick. Simply tweet it to us at Pally InFocus. Today's pick shows Mr. Knight shooting a basket at the Winter Rally on Tuesday. Hopefully he made it in. With all of our daily picks now, it's fitting that we just have a bunch of announcements in today's campus bulletin. Registration is still open to sign up for track and field this year. Sign up at the link on screen. In addition, students looking to play a spring sport should turn in a valid physical to the athletic training room after school today to receive a ticket to play. Pally Juggling is hosting Game of Thrones starting tonight at 7 p.m. with a juggling battle. Afterwards at 9 p.m. is the Fire Jam. On Saturday night at 7 p.m., the big show will take place, which costs $10. This show features Dan Holzman, who holds 2 Guinness World Records, Chris Garcia, who founded the Santa Cruz Juggling Festival, The Passing Zone, who are contestants on America's Got Talent, and many more talented jugglers, including our very own Mr. Hall. On Sunday, there will be games starting at 1 p.m. and drawing right after. Throughout the whole festival, there will be various workshops. Next week during Flex, the YWCA is sharing a workshop on the realities of sexual assault, harassment, and bullying, while promoting healthy communication skills and bystander intervention. If you are interested in attending any of their workshops, please stop by the Wellness Center to get a permission slip. The YAF Club will be hosting Jeremy Carl from the Hoover Institution at Stanford. Carl will be speaking about being a conservative minority in a liberal environment. You can attend his speech today during lunch in room 854. The Pally Dance team is getting ready for their first competition of the season this Saturday at Fort Dance Competition. The competition will be held at Homestead High School from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the team will be competing 3 dances. Come out and show your support. Now let's take a look at what shaped today in history. On this day in 1888, a group of 33 men who ranged from explorer to cartographer gathered in Washington, D.C. to create the National Geographic Society for the increase of diffusion of geographical knowledge. At a time when most of America was fascinated in the discoveries of the world, philanthropist Gardner Green Hubbard was elected as president of the society. The organization still exists today with millions of worldwide magazine subscriptions, TV broadcasts, websites, journals, and books teaching everyone about the world they live in. Moving on now from what's going on around campus to what's happening in the world today, topping today's headlines. Michigan State University's president resigned Wednesday, hours after disgraced USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar was sentenced. Nassar is a former longtime Michigan State University employee. He was sentenced Wednesday to up to 175 years in prison for the sexual assault of young female athletes. MSU's leader of 13 years, Lou Anna Simon, had recently come under fire for what critics said was the mishandling of the Nassar scandal. They said Simon had been tone deaf and needs to be among those held accountable for what happened while Nassar was employed as sports medicine physician at MSU. Guatemala's former defense minister has been arrested on corruption charges. William Mancia is accused of authorizing special bonus payments to President Jimmy Morales. He stepped down from his post later last year after a corruption watchdog revealed the allegations. Morales, who became president on the anti-corruption platform, denies the payments were illegal. Mancia has been charged with the abuse of power, embezzlement of public funds, and unjust enrichment. Now Sam Miller's in the studio with sports. There wasn't much going on yesterday, was there?
There sure wasn't, but let's get into what is happening over the weekend. On Saturday at 4:30 p.m., boys Frostoff basketball has a game against Menlo Atherton at home, right after boys varsity takes to the court at 6 for their matchup. And that's all for sports today. There were no games yesterday and no games today, so that's it. Back to you, Isabel.
Now it's time to find out who our birthday boys and girls are for today. InFocus wishes a very happy birthday to Mira Barat, Emma Jacoby, and Alina Wu. Now it's time to get another piece of the puzzle as we see if we can figure out who this week's Guess Who staff member is. Today's clue is he had to take algebra twice with the same teacher here at Pali. Do you know who it is? This week's Guess Who was Carl Hubenthal. Now Nor sits down with Mr. Hubenthal in the studio for an interview. Nor?
All week we have been giving clues as to who our mystery staff member is for this week. Some of those clues were pretty interesting. This week's Guess Who staff member is Carl, who joins us me today. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
And the first fact that you put out was that you wore a Paddington Bear outfit to Nordstrom and you would hand out balloons.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I had a job. I was looking for a job, and it was during the holidays, and I was back from college, and I just wanted to pick some up quick work. So I got to they're like, hey, you want to put on the outfit and give out balloons? And I'm like, sure. And I put it on, and it was crazy because all the little kids, like the 7 and 8 year olds, would want to kick you a little bit and sort of grab you, but the little kids would cry and hide behind their mom, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, and try to give them a balloon, and they'd run away.
It's like you're like a big bear.
It's funny how terrified the little kids are of you. You're like, I'm sorry.
Oh man.
So yeah, that was kind of a trip.
Well, speaking of bears, your next fact was that you were chased down by one a quarter mile on a mountain trail.
Yeah. I was actually a camp counselor, and I think I was about 15 and a half, and my job was to change the water tanks.
Okay.
So there's this long trail to go up to change the water. There's 2 different tanks, so one would get empty and you'd switch it over.
Right.
And I came around this corner, and there was 2 bears in an amorous situation about 30 feet from me. And I stopped, and you're supposed to stand still. If the bear comes at you, you're sort of trained. And he wasn't stopping. He wasn't very happy. So he started running at me, and I took off downhill. And I could hear him breathing, and I was zigzagging through trees, and I lost him. So that was pretty terrifying.
Well, I'm sure we're all glad over here that you lost him.
Yeah.
Because you're security now, so, And, okay, the third fact is so cool. So you did the original voice for Disney Jafar toy based off of the Aladdin movie.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. That's
Well,
awesome.
I went to college for voice acting and for Shakespeare, and then I went to Mitchell Management, was doing voiceovers and sort of commercials and cartoons, and it was during a strike, and so the original actors were all on strike, and so I was really young, and they got me because I could do mimicry. So they did the whole thing, and I was really stoked. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy 10 of them. So they had it all in production, and then the strike ended, and so they threw all those toys out, and they redid it with the original actors. So I was like, no.
Voice for us, remember?
My name is Jafar, and I can't wait to hear what you're thinking, Aladdin.
That's a little terrifying. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, because I love Aladdin. That's really awesome.
That's a great movie.
And the fourth fact was that you totaled 5 cars by the age of 18.
I did.
What?
I was in an auto shop, and I would get these cheap cars, and then I would drive them probably too fast, I think, or the motor thought I was. So yeah, I seized up 3 motors, and then I had an electrical fire in a Chevette, and then I fixed that. And then I was driving it again, and it got stuck in 4th gear. So, and I was I didn't have any money, so I would push it out of the, in reverse, and then I would leave it in 4th and start really slow and clutch. So, yeah, I really wanted a car, but I kept blowing them up.
Do you have a nice car that's been functioning for a long time?
Yeah, pretty nice.
That's good. Yeah, you have it down. That's good. And then the fifth fact is that you had to take algebra twice with the same teacher here at Pali.
I did.
The
teacher was Mr. Lim, actually. He still teaches here.
He does.
And I didn't like to go to class very often, and so the first time around, I didn't pass. So as a senior, I had to take it with sophomores.
Yeah.
And at the time, you could only get 5 cuts. So I had 4 cuts, and I was going in, and I went into Mr. Lim, and I said, look, it's senior cut day. Can I please just have this? And he said no.
Oh,
so I had to come for senior cut day, and then it turned out I got a notice that I was getting a math award. So I'm like, how am I getting a math award? I'm not that great at math. So my mom dressed up, and we all went, and the math award was for not cutting on senior cut day. So that was moderately embarrassing.
Well, you know what? You got the award.
But we got through it. So
Yeah, and so congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And I'm glad that you're back here at Pally.
Yes.
You're great at your job there.
And now I can tell people that you really should go to class because
Yeah.
they really will make you take it again.
Right. So, motivation right there. Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me,
you.
Carl. It was so interesting. So all this stuff is so interesting and so cool. Thank you so much for sharing
Of
all
course.
that.
It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
Take care.
Thank you. Back to you.
Well, that does it for today's episode. Have a great day, Pally.
You're left and right.